Hello, students. As I mentioned, I'm having a really good time and enjoying the teaching this course to you. And as I mentioned in the last section, that please hang in there. And we need some patience to complete this course. Okay? Okay. This section is the final section of the 10-week long class. The final section will deal with the soft power diplomacy of South Korea, the so-called Niche diplomacy. First, South Korea has potential for middle power diplomacy. Seoul has potential for middle power diplomacy in the Asian Pacific region. The ROK is familiar with the position of major powers. ROK understands the positions of China and Japan, and also positions of lesser powers, ASEAN powers, because South Korea was one of the lesser powers about 30 years ago. So South Korea understands stronger powers and lesser powers positions. So South Korea can serve as a bridge between them, bridge between the strong powers and lesser powers. Since South Korea has experienced an economic miracle, economically, South Korea has know-how of economic development. For example, 5-year economic development plans. These plans were adopted by the Chinese government. And these plans were taken by the authoritarian leadership in 1960s and 70s in South Korea. Currently, the Chinese government is taking this plan and are having the 5-year economic development plans. So South Korea can help the lesser powers learn from Korea's economic miracle. South Korea can maintain cooperative relations with them in areas of economic development and also human security. So South Korea has enough and full experience of economic development, so South Korea can transfer this know-how to the developing countries. Also, the South Korea has had a leading role in human security area. And South Korea plays a leading role in dealing with new international norms and forging consensus in human security. So South Korea should strengthen its diplomatic capability and managerial skills to resolve conflicts and promote cooperation in international community. To do so, the Seoul government should utilize diplomatic channels and tools, including public diplomacy with ODA, Official Development Aid, and interstate networks, NGOs, non-governmental organizations, and multilateral track 2 diplomacy. What's track 2 diplomacy? Obviously, track 1 diplomacy is a diplomacy by governmental officials. Track 3 diplomacy is made by civilians. Track 2 diplomacy, so therefore, means the combination of governmental officials and civilians. In order to have a leading role in human security area, track 2 diplomacy is quite necessary. Because track 1 diplomacy is too much official and too much limitations. In track 3 diplomacy, only with civilians, it lacks the commitment or money, resources. So track 2 diplomacy with half governmental officials and half civilians could be very useful and efficient, at the same time effective in dealing with many soft issues. Niche diplomacy. South Korea should not address all the issues of human security, not all. South Korea should approach some issues among the many issues of human security. Niche issues. South Korea should pursue a specialization diplomacy or niche diplomacy in a few issue areas that match South Korean interests and capability. Because South Korea should touch and involve in few issue areas that are commensurate with South Korean capabilities and South Korean interests. Examples are economic crisis management, because South Korea had experience of economic crisis, the so-called IMF crisis in late 1990s. In finance and banking policies, South Korea certainly has some know-how about the monetary and financial policies in order to develop South Korean economy. Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, NNP. Obviously, South Korea has about 18 nuclear power plants, and it has a know-how, the world top know-how to build nuclear power plants, and the know-how to maintain or manage them, and know-how to dispose the nuclear wastes. So South Korea can transfer its know-how and knowledge to developing countries. Anti-terrorism. South Korea is actively participating into the anti-terrorist activities initiated by the United Nations and the US at the same time too. Fight on piracy. More often than not, South Korean cargo ships are kidnapped in the high sea areas because South Korea is depending on trade on very high percentage. There are many South Korean cargo ships are traveling from Korea to Europe. So more often than not, quite often, South Korean ships are kidnapped by pirates. And security of sea lanes provides the freedom of voyage. PKO, peacekeeping operations. South Korea is sending the PKO to many regional conflicting areas, including Middle East and Central Asia and Africa. Also, South Korea has enough technology and know-how in order to deal with the climate change. So South Korea has a responsibility to transfer or teach that technology to developing countries in need, or know how to deal with natural disaster and sustainable development. Obviously, South Korean diplomacy, which is niche diplomacy, should deal or cope with these issues, these special issues not all areas of human security. To increase ODA, I kept stressing this fact that South Korea should increase ODA as a significant middle power. ROK should increase ODA up to a level commensurate with its economic capability. And South Korea should actively promote public diplomacy through KOICA or the Korea Foundation. I think all the students who have interests of Korean culture and about Korea must know KOICA or KF. So South Korea should promote public diplomacy, should KOICA or the KF. As of 2020, the ratio of ODA GNI of Korea was 0.14%, $22 billion, which is considered to be low compared to other 23 DAC members of OECD. The original Korean target of 2015 was 0.25%. And also in 2030, 0.3%. But it didn't work out. Only 0.14% was the current percentage of Korean ODA and GNI ratio. Lastly, South Korea should promote Korean Wave. So ROK should promote its soft power to garner respect, to get respect, and attract attention from the people around the world. Seoul should continue to provide the Korean Wave, K-pops. You love Korean songs, right? Korean culture, and Korean food, Korean movies. You love the recent Korean movies, right? And soap operas, Korean dramas. Again, track 2 diplomacy plays a central part too. Now, in the final slide of this course, let me introduce favorable K-foods by cities in the world. I think all of you are familiar with some Korean foods already. In Beijing, Chinese people love bibimbap and samgyeopsal, made out of pork. And Japanese people in Tokyo love bibimbap and kalbi. Ooh, I love kalbi. I think all the foreigners love kalbi. And people of New York love BBQ chicken and bulgogi. I love BBQ chicken too. And people of London love BBQ chicken and bibimbap. What about people of Dubai? They love bibimbap and BBQ chicken. So these are the favorable K-foods by the cities in the world. In conclusion, I appreciate your patience and your interest of the Korean culture and subject about Korea. I really enjoyed this course and I hope to see you sometime later. Thank you very much for your patience.